Oh, do you know what? Rich isn't on social media. I forgot you're not on social media. So yeah, this I guess is a surprise to you. But
News to me,
I've
yeah.
been pole dancing not for money. I actually give the studio money to dance on the poles.
There you go.
But,
You're doing it wrong. That's backwards.
The Three Roos Podcast.
Welcome to the Three Roos Podcast. I'm Tyler with co-hosts Seth and Rizzy. Today's guest is an extra special one. I have with me here my beautiful wife, Amanda. Yeah, she's going to be our guest today. Do you want to say anything about yourself as we get into this?
I'm Amanda. I'm from Jersey, born and raised. I've been with Tyler for 10 years almost now. We've been married for 4 years.
Jesus.
It's been a wild ride. Excited to be here though.
Damn, it's been
Can't
10
believe
years.
someone's put up with Tyler for 10 years.
Yeah, holy crap.
In his defense, he was gone a lot of those years, like just
I was gonna say
so made it a little more.
we've put up with him for this long, but we live tons of miles away from him, so like it's easy for us.
What was the longest that you were apart?
I would say you're
More like
high
the
school.
Air Force school, like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
But did you like fly out and see him during that? So it wasn't like,
No.
or did you go like you went 2 to 3 months without seeing each other?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
wow, okay.
that was like at the beginning too, when we first moved in together at our first house. I only went to go see him when he graduated in Alabama. Like his family and we all went down there.
Yeah, from OTS.
That was the emergency card
Oh, yeah.
situation.
I gave Amanda an emergency card because we had just bought the house and said, like, if anything comes up, like, put it on this card. And she had one purchase.
Oh, Louboutin's first emergency.
So she went to like the local Walmart and bought a 55-inch TV.
I couldn't pass it up. It was a good deal. And I was like, this
That's
is
an emergency.
Yeah,
That's
in
an
my eyes, it's
emergency.
an emergency. So ever since then, like
Here I'm expecting her to be like, yeah, she went and bought groceries because she looked in the fridge and it was empty. She's like, emergency, get some milk, some eggs.
We still have that TV today, so I stand by it.
It was a good purchase. It was a good purchase.
All right, that's fair. All right, 10 years. So you guys, but Tyler, you travel a lot for work, yeah? So
Yeah.
how do you guys kind of tackle, I'm going off sheet here, I'm just doing it. How do you guys kind of tackle that, like, how frequently would you guys say you were together versus Tyler traveling? And like, how do you guys handle that where you're like, okay, we're together for 4 days in a 2-week span, let's hang out and do things, or okay, we're together for 4 days in a 2-week span, we got to take care of all this shit in 4 days before you leave again?
Honestly, before he was working from home, he was like gone all the time between work and the military. I was working in office, so I couldn't go to those cool places with him. I would just be home. But I've always been a pretty independent person, I would say. Tyler being gone just reinforced that in myself. I felt very okay with him being fine. I mean, being gone, but
I think she was happy. She was beating around the bush, but I think she was happy.
nice break sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'll let laundry go for like weeks at a time. I'm cooking for myself.
Get some alone time. It's nice.
Yeah. And I wasn't like entirely alone. I had Samson. So we were good.
No, he is a dog. Did you know that?
Yeah, he is a dog.
Forgot about that.
Every time I see that dog. Every time I see that dog.
Yeah, we've had that little guy for like 8 years too.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Samson's old.
It's wild. All right. Enough of the seriousness. Let's talk about some of the stuff you like to do. What do you like to do in your free time? You like a workout person? You just kind of lounge around, do nothing?
Oh, I like doing both. Lounging around doing nothing. And I'm like big into fitness. I feel like I've always liked working out. I just never found a workout that worked for me or that I enjoyed doing for a long period of time. I did the kickboxing. I did the HIIT workouts. I went to the gym for a while. I started lifting when we were living in Georgia in like 2020. And I stuck to that for a while, and then I found pole. And that has been like the greatest workout.
Rich's reaction.
Rich, wait, before you get all
I was not
excited
expecting
about-
that.
Yeah, she's picking up a part-time job.
Oh, do you know what? Rich isn't on social media. I forgot you're not on social media. So yeah, this I guess is a surprise to you. But
News to me,
I've
yeah.
been pole dancing not for money. I actually give the studio money to dance on the pole.
There you go.
You're
okay.
doing it wrong. That's backwards.
Maybe later if we get into a bind, I'll apply that somewhere else. But it's like everything I ever wanted in a workout. It takes a bunch of strength. It's challenging. It takes a lot of practice. And I'm not gonna lie, I joined the studio at first because I just thought it'd be like a really hot thing to do and it'd be like cool. But making it look good is part of the challenge, right? There's a whole lot of practice that goes into making it look graceful, making it look flowy, and I just like that it's expressive and it's challenging for me.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be hard as shit.
The court, she has like a portable pole that like we
Take one.
occasionally move from one place to another. So like I've tried to like get on there and do some of like this stuff too. It's like, dude, it's hard. I can't do it.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sure
I
your
think our-
core is like.
I think
yeah.
our 2 subscribers are going to need to see video of that, Tyler. We'll have to put that up as a short. Tyler on the pole.
Quick,
It's
quick,
like
me
is it-
falling off a pole.
Is it one of those poles where you like screw it to make it tighter? Like remember the Jersey Shore episode where they like.
It's
So
almost
they
like
had
a
the pole go
piston
right in the
rod.
middle.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. But a lot of people don't know this, but the pole spins. And then
Oh,
you
really?
can- yeah, and you can so there's 2
Oh.
different styles. You can set it to static and it doesn't move. And then there's spin pole, and depending on how you shape your body around the pole, you're either spinning faster, you're slowing down.
Okay.
I didn't know that either before
Yeah,
I
that's
started
okay.
in the studio. And then people like started pulling their pins out of their pole and they were like twirling around. And I was like trying so hard to spin myself, like using my own momentum.
Yeah.
And I realized that I did not have to do that.
Yeah, I didn't know that, man. I never do that because I figured like it's kind of like I always see like gymnasts like pound for pound are probably the strongest athletes. Like they're like 5'2", but they're like yoked as shit, and they're so strong. And like honestly, strippers are probably also strong as shit because like you have to hold up like holding your body weight upside down. And then I thought if you could still spin but not fall off, that would take an extreme amount of strength. But I guess now I know that okay, so it does spin. It's still hard to
Yes.
hold your body weight upside down though.
It was so obvious to me, like so when we jumped off the cliffs over here like a couple days ago, and like I don't know if I sent you guys the video, but like climbing back up the ladder after was like extremely difficult. It wasn't connected to anything. I'll send you the video after if I have it. But so I got up to the top and I'm like, fuck, my biceps are ripping, and like I'm like, I don't know if I can do this again. I'm like, maybe you should be really careful coming back up. She got up and was like, yeah, that was nothing.
Scale right up. How high of a cliff jump?
It was like they say 40 to 60 feet. I don't know.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll send you the video. I'll send you the videos after. But yeah, it was
Okay.
crazy. It was like enough
Yeah.
to the point where you jumped and like right before you hit the water, you got that stomach feeling. You're like, damn,
Yeah,
I'm still
yeah,
falling.
Yeah, I think I did that. The highest I ever did was about 40 feet on the Delaware.
Mm.
And like I like never really swam growing up, so I was kind of like to the guy behind me, I was like, "Yo, when you jump in, like try and make sure I'm not drowning." I had no idea where it was going.
There wasn't even anyone watching you, like monitoring it. It's just like if you want to jump, you jump
Yeah,
at your own risk.
It's definitely
into
dangerous.
into the ocean.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I did
I
not
didn't know if
land
there was like
well.
inland pools.
I landed on
It's
my
fine.
ass. I literally just sat in the water, like onto the water. I was afraid to over rotate forward and belly flop. So I
Yeah.
guess I rotated this way and sat down. The back of my legs are all bruised, all black
Like
and
got
blue.
clapped. Yeah,
It looked terrible. My top fell off when I like landed in the water too. And all these people were watching me. And I was like, okay, don't panic. Just like tread as hard as you can with your legs and try to put your top back on and then just
yeah.
your way back up.
Act normal.
Yeah.
Oh, The lady next to me was like, I think her top's up. I'm like, yeah, I think she might have to come up topless.
Yeah,
I was debating if I couldn't like get myself to the ladder. I'm like, I was just gonna say fuck it.
It's Hawaii, man.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
It's the Vegas of the Pacific Coast, it's fine. You're good. Oh
the
man.
face of the Pacific.
All right, I gotta know, how do you how does one like learn that that's what is their workout? Like when did you just wake up one morning and you were like, pole dancing, that's what I'm gonna do? Or did you see, like, how did you get to this point?
Yeah. I will say I grew up as a gymnast, so I've always had really good upper body strength, and I think that set me up for success in this sport. I found a Groupon a couple of years ago for a pole studio, and I thought I would just give it a try, something new, something different. I was getting bored at the gym. Honestly, it was so monotonous. I was doing the same thing all the time, so I was like, I'll give it a try. I absolutely hated it, and I think it was because I was just so self-conscious of myself. So I took a little break from that, found this new studio, and this studio is more of a community. So they're very like spiritual people. I didn't feel like judged there. I felt very free. So I took this like beginner course. It was like 3 months for like a discounted rate. And then we went back to Virginia Beach, and I was like, oh, I really miss pole. I think I want to just take the dive and get a membership. So I did. And I think the best thing about pole is that everyone's mixed level. Like you can be good at one thing and be terrible at one and at another. And growing up, I always felt like I had to like make myself a little smaller because I was a gymnast. I was always very good at like the sports, anything athletic. And in this studio, everyone's just very supportive. It just made me feel really good about myself. So I'm super grateful to have found this.
Enough to the point where like we'll be in Virginia Beach and you'll be like, okay, well, I need to get back to take class.
Yeah.
I gotta take my classes this month.
Right.
That's how you know
right.
you found something good, when you get that itch to go, like, you're like, I gotta do it. It's been a couple days. That's awesome.
Oh, it's so fun. So fun.
Let me ask you this, and this will be a little bit of a transition. So guys, stop me if we still want to talk more pole. I had to do it, right? So you talk about how you're more comfortable with it and people are supportive and whatnot. And we've kind of touched a little bit on things like this in the podcast. Do you think it's because you're kind of getting a little bit older? So like we're moving into our 30s now, whereas in like our 20s, like when you're in your 20s and you go to the gym, like you want to be that dude who's squatting everything on the rack, or you want to be that chick who can do the things that the guys can't do. And now you're in your 30s, you're like, you don't care as much about those. Is that kind of what you think has kind of transitioned to that? What do you think about that?
100%. 100%. I think I said to Tyler one day, like we were driving, and I was like, I think the best part about being in my 30s is I just like don't give a shit about what people think about me. And it's like it's liberating. It feels great. I feel like in my 20s, I was always like trying to do like the trendy stuff. Like, I don't know. I just cared way too much.
Your
And
20s are
now,
probably your hardest era.
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
I just like, yeah, I cared way too much about what other people thought of me. And like in the last few years, I've just started to just not care. Like
Yeah.
what people think of you is their business. I heard someone say that and it like changed my life. I'm like, something clicked in me. And I was like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and everyone in that studio is different ages, different weight, different body types.
Yeah.
So we're all there to just build each other up together.
That's awesome. It's always impressive. Like, and I think about that a lot too. Like, there are things that like you sit back now and you're like, what were we thinking in our 20s? Like what? But then you're also sit there and you're like, okay, well, you were 22. So I guess you just didn't know back then. Like, and now you're in your 30s and you're like, let's start to embrace this. Like me, some mornings I wake up and my joints hurt. And yes, I'm in my mid 30s, but it's okay to wake up and be like, shit, what did I do yesterday that made me feel like my joints ache? And it's like, it's okay to like just acknowledge that you're getting older and like sometimes it's fun to go to bed at 9 o'clock at night. Nobody's got any
Oh
problems,
hell yeah!
right?
Every
We've done
night,
it almost every day out here.
all the time. As soon as I get horizontal, like I fall asleep. Like for
Man, was
real.
taking a
If
nap before this.
Yeah, I woke up from my nap for this.
I wish I could nap during the day. During college, I used to nap during the day a lot. But I feel like now at night, if we're like on the couch at like 8 o'clock, if I'm horizontal, if I start to lean over like 8:30, I'm out. And it's like 9 o'clock. I wake up. All right, I'm gonna go upstairs. And sometimes she's like, "How do you fall asleep so early?" Like blah blah. I'm like, I'm tired. I don't know. But if like just, I love it.
You doing the old man where you're just sitting back in the chair with the head back and your
I
eyes.
can't now. I can't
your
really fall
eyes
asleep
start to
that
go.
way. No, I can't fall asleep. I can't fall asleep that way. I never could. But like,
I
just
think
if I
I
start to
think that
horizontal,
is I think you don't unlock that skill till you're in like your mid 40s. That's when you
Yeah.
gotta unlock the sit upright fall
Can't
asleep.
wait.
yeah.
Right now we're just embracing the like it's socially acceptable to go up to bed at 9 o'clock at night. Like no one's gonna get mad at you. It's okay.
Yeah.
So
I love it. I wouldn't trade it, man. I mean, I get up early though, which is probably why. But
I think that's the other part of being old though. Like I can't speak for you guys, but I don't enjoy sleeping in. I feel like I miss something.
I can't do it. I wake up at like if
That
I
look
try
from
and sleep
Tyler
in,
was like Amanda could you're one of those people that could sleep like 14 hours, couldn't you?
Yeah, I go to bed late and I
It's like
wake up
a
late.
9 or 10 a.m. kind of
Yeah.
person.
I'm
KJ
also
will
an
sleep,
insomniac.
yeah.
I can't sleep at night ever.
really.
Tyler's always in bed before me. I feel there's been very few times we've
Yeah,
gone
but
to bed
Tyler's
together.
been 65 since he was like 19, so that's understandable. I mean,
I can't. I'm such a light sleeper. And like ever since we got Tilly, and she had like really bad allergies. Like I feel like when she stirs, because that first spring with her was just so hard. Just going to the vet nonstop and just like all like trying to keep her from like getting skin infections. And like ever since then, like that, I've been a light sleeper. So like she gets up and like she'll like shake her ears a lot during the night. I'm up and then like I just feel like my mind goes to work right away. It's like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, or like all these things. And then I'm laying there for like an hour and then finally go back to sleep. And so I'm such a light sleeper now.
Yeah, to hit on the other thing, man, I was talking about too, like I think the older you get, you start to realize what's like more important in life, and you stop caring
Yeah,
about
that's true.
things. Like you're saying, like you think you've just kind of matured, and you care
Yeah.
less about what other people think. But
It's also just hard to keep up with this new generation. I don't know what the fuck they're saying now. Once I like stopped understanding what they were saying, I'm like, okay, like
I don't. Do they even say anything anymore? Like we.
When the
I
lingo
bet
changes,
on
it's
God.
okay.
So it's beating a dead horse. We won't talk about it too much, but like, do they even say anything anymore? Or is it all like at the keyboard, right? Like, I don't even know if these kids talk to each other. Or do they just text each other from next door? Like,
For real,
It's
little
crazy.
bro.
what
On
was the
God,
one I
no-
heard the
no
other day?
cap.
I heard no cap. Cap was one. I was like, what does that even mean? What
Yeah.
does
Oh,
that even mean?
That's not even new, man. That's like an old one.
Old now.
Dude,
Really?
I'm
Like,
older than old.
That might be out
Is
of
it older than the word lie?
No.
Like I just like how do we
What?
get there? I don't-
what word?
Lie.
Lie. Like what it
Lie
means.
down.
Yeah, it means
Says
like no
older
cap
than
is like
word
no
lie.
lie. Is it like why? Like how do we go from
Oh.
lie just saying no cap? Makes no sense to me. But
There was
I don't know.
another one I heard the other day, and I was like, what did that even? What?
Mm-hmm.
They say
we
some
were
funny
with,
shit though.
we were with one of our friends recently. We were trying to have her like coach us on some like younger like some words that they were saying like some
Yeah.
younger kids. One was like chuggy,
That one's
but
also
that's phased out now.
That's a
Shooting
fake.
means that it's like out of stock. Like it's old. So like ironically, chuggy is chuggy. But I don't even know what they say anymore.
Or sussy.
don't.
Sus.
They have like
Sus.
words.
Sus is a big one. That's sus.
Yeah.
That would
Um,
make sense. That would make sense if the word
It's just a
shortened,
shortened word. It's easy. All right, let me ask you this because you kind of touched on it. You guys obviously there's a few years, not a ton of age difference, but a couple years age difference between you guys. But like we already know Tyler also has kind of an age difference between some of his college friends, and I'm sure you also kind of see an age difference. Do you guys like how do you feel when you're dealing with that age difference with like your friends, when you're hanging with your friend group who's like 5-6 years younger than you? And you're just like, what are you even talking about? How do you guys feel about that? How do you handle that?
Well, wait, isn't that group her age though?
Yeah, they're all mostly Amanda's age.
Yeah.
Well, that's so. I guess the question's more for Tyler. Then.
I hate my friends. They're so immature.
They all suck. No, honestly, I don't even notice.
Yeah, I think we all forget that he's older than us.
My maturity level is probably less than all of them, so like it kind of equals out in the end.
Equals
You know,
out.
I
like,
wasn't
They're a
gonna
little more
say
mature.
it.
if they all
They all have
act their
jobs,
age, then I'm definitely acting like I'm 20 or something. You know. Sorry.
I think the only thing we do that really highlights the age difference is if there's a song that comes on the radio and Tyler's like, oh my God, this song came out when I was a sophomore in high school. And I was like, I was in 7th grade.
Yeah, that does
Yeah.
happen a lot.
Yeah, KJ and I play that game because she like listens to emo. I was like, what do you know about emo? Like, I was like, this isn't emo. I was like, My Chemical Romance, The Used, Taking Back Sunday. That's emo, not this shit. You don't always
What's
have to
the
be better. It's not a
difference
competition.
between you and KJ?
Or like 2 years.
Oh yeah.
That's like nothing.
No, it's
Yeah.
really not a lot. But like, I think the thing is, I had older sisters. I was the youngest of, and you too, Seth, right? So I feel like I was influenced by that, where she was the oldest of 3. So I don't know, like maybe I was exposed to more stuff. Like maybe I'm a couple years ahead of my time.
That's how I
Yeah.
feel. I had two older cousins that I grew up with, so I feel like they always kept me in trend with like
Yeah.
their age music. And
What this kind of leads into another topic you have on the sheet. Perfect transition.
Boom! Look at that. She's a pro. We got to have her on the show more often.
You got here thinking it was, or you got here that you thought it was normal, everybody being super close with their kind of extended family.
yeah,
Hmm.
so I'm a first generation born American. Growing up, my mom has 2 sisters. They all lived in one house. I lived with all my cousins, so it was all of us, which was like 12 people under one roof. And so we went to the same school. Some of us were in the same grade. And I always thought it was normal for people to see their family like that every day until I like went to school one day and people were like, I'm seeing my cousins next week. And I'm like, don't you see them every day? Like I see mine every day. So we're really close. Everyone still lives in like the same town. I think there's only just us. We live in a different town, and then my older cousin Laura lives up in Lake Peekskill, but she owns a salon in Bergen County, so we see her all the time too. And I love it, but it also comes with some like cons. Sometimes I feel like those are the only opinions I care about, right? My family, and there's so many of them, so it tends to get a little hectic at times.
Well, I think it's cool how close you guys are. Just like it's cool to see that how close you guys are with your cousins. I mean, you see each other almost every day still, like especially everybody in town, right?
Yeah.
Where I feel like most of my cousins I see like 2 or 3 times a year, if that.
Right.
Yeah.
But you guys are so close too.
Yeah, no, it's just different, but it's cool to see that that's how you guys grew up.
Yeah, I used to think my cousins were like my twins because my mom and my aunt would all dress us like the same. And I wasn't sure like what the relationship was. Growing up, I was like, oh, like we're definitely sisters. We're dressing the same. We go to the same school. We're in the same grade. So I learned that later in my life that that's not like the norm for everybody.
Yeah.
How did you feel when so I talk about it being like a bubble. So like my wife, her family, incredibly close, incredibly large family, cousins, aunts, uncles, and it's not that they see each other all the time, but like when they see each other, like they're all together and they all talk and it's a whole big affair. And then like there's my family where I think I saw one of my sisters 8 months ago. The other sister I haven't seen physically in 2 years. So we always talk about how like there's these different bubbles that people live in, right? And then all of a sudden you encounter other people and the bubble pops, and everybody kind of feels different when the bubble pops. So how did you feel when the bubble popped and you realized that like that's not how every family is? Like different families are different. Did you feel weird? Did you feel excited, normal? Did you feel like you felt like it was cool that this was you? Like how did you feel about all that?
I just felt super grateful to have the relationship that I have with my family. Honestly, if it wasn't for Tyler, I feel like I would have been stuck in my Bergen County bubble for forever.
There's
So,
not there's that's not necessarily a bad thing though.
No.
Like, because like she's always like because I describe myself as a townie. Like if I could, I would have lived in Madison the rest of my life. Like, I think it's an
Where's that?
amazing place.
Where would you have lived the rest of your life?
Madison,
What state is that in?
New Jersey.
I just
But,
want
like,
to just trying to get the accent to come out. I'm just
Does he know
doing
when he
my
talks
best.
about home, he
No.
starts the accent?
It'll,
no,
it'll
it's
get
already,
deeper
I know
here
where you're
over the
going.
next
With it. I
couple
know where you're
minutes.
going with this. Like I would have lived there forever because it was great. I knew everybody. I feel like in a way, like everyone was sort of related via marriage. Like this cousin was married to that cousin. It was like it was a small town, and like multi-generational too. I loved it, but I left, and obviously New Jersey to me now is like it's just too expensive. Like I just feel like I don't want to pay all that in taxes and all that. Just whatever. I just long story short, I don't want to go back to it. I'm not ready to go back to it. But I like told we were all sitting around a table one time. I was like, you know who I see as like the most successful person? I was like, her brother. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, because he's in the same town. Like he's married to the girl that he like dated in high school and all that. But like they've got the same group of friends. Like he's like, this is what he wants out of life. He doesn't need the Bugatti and the big house, anything like that. Like he knows what he wants. He's got that. He's happy. Where like I like work with a lot of people that make like a shit ton of money and they don't really seem happy. Like all they're chasing is like more and more and more and more, and they define success by like material wealth, and like no one's ever fulfilled. And I feel like having those circles, like being around family and all that, having your friends, like honestly, really, what more is there? Like, you know what I mean? Like I think there's so people that do get stuck in the bubble, like sometimes people judge that, but I don't honestly don't see it as a con. Like if you're getting out of life what you want, well, fuck it.
yeah, no, I definitely don't think it's a bad thing, but I do think my life would have been completely different if we
Oh,
hadn't
yeah.
like, moved like we had, and kind of just like forced me to get out. I never want to go back now. Don't tell my mom. She wants us to come back so
If you're
bad.
Great.
listening.
Now she can't listen to the podcast. Great. We
Yeah.
lost a listener
Yeah.
because of this.
What
Yeah,
about
my
your
mom-
subscribers?
Yeah, now we're down to one.
Now we're
My
down to
mom's
one.
my mom's family all grew up like they were all in Brooklyn. They all live really close to each other. Then they moved to like Long Island, right? Everyone's pretty close to each other. They always lived within like a 50-mile radius of each other. So like when I left, it was like I remember she was bawling when I was going to California. She's like, "You'll never come back." I'm like, "I'll be back." And she's like, "You'll never come back." I guess she was right. But like like she was
Proving it right.
yeah, proven right. But like she couldn't understand the fact that I had to get away, and I'm glad I did because I got to see LA, Colorado. I met her. I got like all this stuff happened because I took that leap. But like they could not understand me doing this. But I will say like leaving New Jersey and also being further away from the family, you do notice certain stuff. So like when I went home a few times, I've been like, yo, you guys want to fight over everything. Everything pisses you off. Everything pisses you off all the time. And now, like she said when she first met me, I was full of spice. But she's like, you've spiced down because like I think it's because I've been away and I lived in the Midwest for a little bit and like Colorado, like people weren't ready to kill each other over stupid stuff. Oh, the neighbor's parking in front of my house and that's the parking. Like who gives a shit? So like I'm kind of like you're able to see stuff, and I am kind of glad that I've been able to be like get out of the Jersey fast lane a little bit because people they're dicks in the East Coast. I
think
love
that's
the
part
East
of
Coast.
I think that's part of the bubble thing that we talk about, right?
Yeah,
like
I never
when you're
realized
in the bubble, you don't not only do you not realize that like there are other people doing other things, but also like in your bubble, you're not picking up certain things that when you move away from it,
Yeah.
like you realize them. And it's there, you're always going to be a little sad when you move away from the norm, but like, and I'll ask this to you guys because you now you're living together, you're married. Can't believe you've been married for 4 years. That means I've been
That's
married
crazy.
for 4 years. Jesus. So you guys have now got your bubble kind of, right? That you're starting to build together and that so do you feel like you've both kind of taken things from both of your lives and you're like melding this own little life that you have together? And does that excite you? Does that make you feel good? Does Tyler want to cut and run yet? Like,
I feel like we're just making our bubble bigger and bigger. I feel like, I don't know, maybe at this point it stopped growing, but I feel like at some point, I don't know, just like friends groups continue to grow, have grown, and we'll move somewhere new and meet new people or coworkers or something. And it's just like at some point we probably need to shrink the bubble.
Yeah. I will say in building our bubble, like for me, that bubble also set boundaries with my family. Like we're totally the type of people to just show up to your house unannounced to hang out or just to like
Like your family is that,
yes.
or
Yeah.
that shit
No one tells
that shit will get
anyone.
old real quick.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
not.
It's
Yeah, I'll get old real
Exactly.
quick.
And it was never something like I don't like that, but since it's my family, I feel like I would have just let it slide. So I think Lake Hopatcong is a good distance away because they can't just show up unannounced. Like they gotta give you a
Like
warning
if someone
or
needs a
something.
saw, they're not just gonna come and steal from our
Yeah.
garage or
Oh
something.
yeah, they do that all the time.
Yeah, that would bother the shit out of me. Like, where's my fucking sawzall? You know.
Everyone knows garage code. Everyone has a copy of a key. It's just we're just
Oh my
one.
God.
all right.
big
So
moth.
I'm gonna ask this. It's off sheet, so I'm gonna ask it. You can tell me to go fuck off if you don't want to answer it.
All right, fuck off.
Who do you
Seth.
hate? Who do you hate the most in the family?
No, who do you hate the most? No, I'm just
Give them a
kidding.
list and what are their
So-
email addresses so I can talk to them.
So going back to the idea of when you're in the bubble, you don't really realize like this is the things that happen. You just think they're normal, right? You think it's normal to go to a family member's house and grab a saw without telling anybody, right? Or telling them you're coming over. Is this the setting of boundaries? And I can tell you right now, like we in our household have really recently noticed that we need to set these boundaries. It turns out having a kid, your family just decides they no longer have any boundaries ever. So you really need to set them. So do you think that is there something that like was one of you like, I'm not standing, like you can't, the family can't come over and do this right now. And that's when you set the boundary? Or was it you kind of no longer just being in that all the time? This is the lifestyle bubble where you're like, well, this is weird. Why is someone coming over to my house and just taking things without me being here? Like, what kind of kickstarted the boundary setting?
Seth's asking if I was an asshole and just said, "Ain't nobody fucking coming over."
No, no.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen,
What was
I'll tell
taking
you,
and what set him
I'll
off?
tell you point blank. I was the one here where I was like, I looked at her and I was like, there's this amount of days where your family can't come anymore. We have seen them and they live 8 hours away and we have seen them every 3 weeks since our child has been born. They can't come for 3 months. So if Tyler was the asshole, I completely am okay with it. I will give you a pass on that.
I was just reading between the lines there.
No, it definitely wasn't. I will say, like, there was a period before COVID, we were having dinner together every single Sunday, and
I
it's
respect that.
like
It's cool. Honestly, I like.
Yeah, I wish I could do that.
yeah, and that was really nice. But there were some days like Tyler would be a drill, like he didn't want to drive all the way up to dinner, so like I let him choose. Like you can come to dinner, you don't have to come to dinner. That's completely up to you. I think it was less about like don't do this with my family, like setting boundaries that way, and more of I prefer this. And
But when you
voice
did you put it
more.
like that? Did you put it like that? You come to dinner, you don't come to dinner, you do whatever you want to do. Because to me, that's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a
I prefer
threat.
this, but if you don't do it,
Yeah, exactly.
Tyler, read
No.
between those lines, buddy. Read between those lines.
Yeah, AK, you better get your ass here.
No, Tyler's free to do whatever he wants. If I have a preference, I will let him know. Like I would appreciate it if you came to this dinner. Like we do a lot of birthday celebrations. And Tyler is always like, why do we have to have dinner for everyone's birthday?
seventh birthday,
Yeah,
39th
They're
birthday.
not milestones, but for me, like food is tradition in my family. So like we'll always take the opportunity to have a meal together. But I also understand that like you're not tied to that like I am. So if you wanted to skip out, then I wouldn't hold it against you. Although you would just be like a really shitty person.
Unless you're in a fight 6 months down the road, and then she's gonna be like, "Remember that one time I told you could or couldn't come to this dinner?"
Yeah, right. Yeah.
She got a notebook somewhere, notes in her phone, all these things that I didn't go to.
No,
That's what he does when you're out of town. He searches the house for the notebook of scorekeeping. That's exactly what he's doing. Oh man.
Totally okay. Like Tyler makes an effort to spend time with my family, and we spend a lot of time with his family. So it's fair. It's very fair. And his family doesn't live close. Like we have to drive 3 hours to Rhode Island to see them, and I'm willing to make that trip because he puts in the effort with my family.
Dude, this reminds. So, my one sister Christina has not met KJ yet.
Neither have we.
None
Yeah,
of us
true.
have.
That's
She's still
That's
fake.
true.
She's
That's
fake.
true.
So
Well, the question's always like, when do you come? Well, like, my one did because we were supposed to all go to Florida together, and then Christina ended up not coming. But like, the question's always like, when are you coming home next? When are you coming home next? When are you coming home next? And we get that from everybody, by the way. But it was always like, I haven't met KJ. When are you coming home? Are you bringing her? And kind of like going back to family and like expectations, I finally, after a few years, was like, first off, hang on. It's not up to us to come to you, right? It's not on us to come to you. You also, if you want to meet her, you come see us. You know where I am. You didn't come to Colorado. You didn't come in, Indiana before, Chicago area. You never, you're not coming here. So I was like, it's not up to us to come to you. It's also like you to come to us. So I set that boundary, and I told him flat out too, like, and stop asking me when I'm coming home next. Again, like, her aside, like, stop asking me when I'm coming home. They're always like, well, you're the one that decided to move away. Yeah, I decided to move away, but it's not like, but people do that, and it's not on me to always have to like be the one. I said, because whenever I talked about moving here, there, the other place, they're always like, oh, that's so far away. I was like, yo, I can move to Timbuktu because I'm the one getting on the plane and flying home. So as long as I'm okay flying for 20 hours, then it's fine because you're not coming to see me anyway. So I think like there was always these expectations of having to stay close, and then for me to be the one to like go the extra mile because I'm like the son and like the youngest, and like, I moved away. And to your point about before, like kind of like what other people think and just being in your 30s, I'm like, well, hang on. I got my own life. You know what I mean? Like, I got my own life I need to worry about. I got my own people I need to worry about now. And like, it's got to work for both of us. And if you don't like it, then you either hop on a plane or you kind of keep your mouth shut. And then when we were planning the wedding, it was the same thing because there were some comments like, oh, like, I was like, yo, think about it like a mini vacation because we're paying for the beach house and all this shit. And I was like, well, it's really far away. No one told you to drive, but if you also can't make it, I was serious when I said if you can't make it, like, it doesn't bother me, then don't come. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna like bend over backwards and like I'm not gonna get married in Jersey just to make it easy for you, right? So that I finally got to the point. It took me a while, but I finally got to the point where I was like, look, I'm doing my own thing here. I'm not gonna worry about like what you guys have to think. And I set those boundaries. But family is the hardest thing to set boundaries with, though, because like growing up, you're almost, at least in my family, like you have like the father who's like the figure of authority, and like obviously your mother, and like like lift the heaviest rock, climb the highest mountains, and there's your sisters. There's blood's thicker than water, right? And it's like, so it's like you have it's so ingrained in you that family's like such a hard thing to, if you have a good relationship with your family, it's such a hard thing to set those boundaries with.
I totally get that. And I feel like for me, it's also like a cultural thing. Like, you were supposed to take care of our parents like forever, right? But eventually you just learn that you're responsible for your own happiness only. You can't make everybody happy. Like, you're just gonna hate yourself. And especially like with your situation when there's like so much distance, physical distance between you guys, and you start pointing fingers whose fault it is, like that resentment builds, and you don't want that.
Yeah, I was getting angry. I was like legitimately getting like pissed off. So I was like, fuck
You
it.
get
I'm
to a
not
point
gonna
where
worry
it's
about
like,
this.
I'm not even gonna come home, like, at all.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no satisfying everybody.
Yeah, it's nice to like make a business trip last like almost a week, but like the next time I'm going home, it's like literally for like 48 hours because I'm just like I don't really have time for this, but I feel like an obligation to like come home because it's like my niece's first birthday, so it's like I just gonna fly in really late on Saturday and then like getting out on Tuesday, early Tuesday.
Did you guys hear those birds that just flew in around?
I did, yeah. Did it fly into the house?
No,
No.
they've been going
The
crazy.
screens are open, so like they could
Oh,
come
that's cool.
right up there, and like they're loud as hell.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
I think part of it too is when you have to set boundaries, it's because you never just randomly set boundaries, right? Like, you're setting boundaries because people are doing things that you not necessarily don't want them to do, but don't want them to do to the extent they're doing. But
Yeah.
they might not recognize why they're doing it. They might not recognize that they're doing it. So their natural reaction is always like defensive. And so it's always a tough thing to do. But I think and it goes back again to the being in your 30s and, focusing more on you. And we talk a lot about, focusing on the family unit and how the family unit shifts from you and your siblings and your parents to you and your significant other. And if you have a child, like, that's the new family unit and everything else is extended. And so it's tough, but if you don't do it, then it's gonna continue to happen and build and get worse, and the resentment gets worse and worse, and then you just end up with ugly situations where people stare at each other at Christmas while they angrily drink their alcohol.
There you go. Yeah.
So it's tough. Like boundaries, I think that's the toughest thing that we have to deal with in relationships with our family is boundaries. But I'm a firm believer in just pull that band-aid and do it, because if you don't, it's just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah, you gotta. KJ told me like protect your peace, and I'm like, that's like so true. Like when you're in your 30s, you really feel like. Remember when I like left Jersey? There was a lot of shit going on with my family, and I feel like everybody was coming to me and like telling me like what the next thing that unfolded was. And like finally, when I was like out there, I was like, you know what? I can't deal with this anymore. Like you guys deal with it. First off, it's not my problem, right? You know, it's like between like you guys, it's not my problem. But like I'm trying to like kind of just like get a fresh start here, get some headspace, and like. But I didn't really learn like protect your peace until like maybe a year and a half ago. Maybe that's when I embraced it. But I'm just like, you know, I can't. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's an East Coast thing or whatever, but everyone's talking about this person, that person. They're like getting upset over what this person's kid did. I mean, nothing that affects their life. I used to go to Brooklyn with my grandma. She for 45 minutes she talked about her friend Rosie's daughter. She was getting pissed off and loud in the car.
Rich is going on a
Right.
rant.
I was gonna say I would
But-
tell you to lay down on the therapist couch, but it sounds like
Dude,
you'd
for
fall
sure.
asleep the minute you laid down. So
I would fall asleep.
we're gonna
No, my
skip
point-
the listen,
We're
we're gonna
gonna
skip the
conundrum.
therapy session and we're gonna go to something more fun.
Well, no, but real
let's-
quick though, my point is just like you have to protect your peace because like that mentality weighs on you so much that you have to be able to protect your peace, even if it's your family. You gotta be like, nah, I'm not. I don't care. You deal with it, not me. All
What
right,
you
Seth.
want to do?
Yeah, do what
All
you
right.
want to do.
You know what I want to do? I want to talk about
think I do.
aliens. I want to talk about aliens.
Is that the
Let's
next
talk.
topic?
Let's
The
talk
most
about.
important
Yeah.
topic.
It is the topic that we talk about with all our guests. It is a topic that we haven't talked about enough with ourselves recently. Amanda, we got to know, do you believe in aliens?
Guys, I don't have like a whole lot to contribute to the topic. Of course, I believe in aliens. My two things were going to be like politics and aliens, but aliens was like a main thing on this sheet. So I'm like, okay, we'll talk about aliens. Of course, I believe in aliens. There's 0% chance that we are the only like living life form out here. As far as like what they're like or what they look like, I've never really thought about it, but when I think about aliens, I think of like Star Wars. Literally, that's it. They kind of look like people, but just like a little different, colored.
You think they'd be malicious?
I feel like some would. It depends.
Do you think they're here now?
Yeah. I think they're definitely here now.
Do you think they're living
Do you
like
think they're
living
like
with us?
us, or do you think they're like the weird like bugs that we discover every once in a while? They're like, look at this new insect that we've discovered.
No, I feel like they're like blending in right now, like doing some recon and research over here. And they're probably not very impressed with us, to be honest. They're probably like, what is wrong with these people? But I think it would be pretty reasonable to kind of plant yourself into a planet, see what they're like before just fully joining in or
Executing whatever your plan is.
yeah, exactly.
Do you
I don't
think?
think anyone would want to come here though.
What?
Do you think that? Do you think that like maybe there is nobody else, but we're in a simulation?
Sometimes I think that. Because I just get like such bad deja vu, like
Yeah, all the time.
Or it's something like The Truman Show. You know that movie with Jim Carrey?
Everyone always
Yes.
talks about that.
It's a great
Really?
movie.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, someone's definitely messing with me right now. This is all scripted. Like life isn't real. I find myself in that thought sometimes, but the deja vu thing happens to me like all the time.
I sincerely think that's like part of a multiverse. Like it's something with our dreams. Like it's just us in a different universe somewhere, and like you somehow like snap to them when you're dreaming. It's just you having made different decisions along the way, and this is the predicament you're in now.
Have we talked about this?
But we talked about it on the podcast. So
Oh, I feel like I've heard like the whole multiverse theory being tied into deja vu, and I think I could get behind that.
I haven't heard that, but that's actually a cool theory. I never
Yeah.
heard that.
maybe we haven't talked about it on here then. I don't
I
know.
don't think we talked about that. We talked about the multiverse for sure. Because, like, Seth, what was the theory that you always talk about? The butterfly effect or something like that?
Not the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect is like
Oh.
chaos theory.
The
where
Mandela effect.
The Mandela effect is the
Yeah.
one where people believe things that have happened that have not actually happened.
Oh,
So
yeah.
my thought on that is that if there are multiverses, maybe they're happening in the different universe. Like maybe there is Shaquille O'Neal playing a wizard in a movie, or like a genie in a movie in
Shazam.
another. Yeah, exactly. So like maybe that's the point of the multiverse.
No. So that's
no,
a Mandela effect. He was not.
Shaquille O'Neal wasn't Genie, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, it was Sinbad, and the movie was Kazam, right?
Yep.
See, I saw that in theaters, dude. So like, I'm
Yeah.
so confused right now because I always thought he
It
was the
it
genie.
was not Shaquille O'Neal. It was Sinbad, and it was Kazam.
I remember looking it up
I
after
was a
last time we talked
racist
about
little 6-year-old.
But no, I think I personally think the Rick and Morty. I don't know if anybody here watches.
Oh,
Rick
I
and-
love that show.
I think that Rick
Yeah,
and
I love
Morty
that
is
show.
probably right, where there's just different universes with the same things happening, but there's slight differences between them.
Dude, I feel like I believe in the. I don't know, man. I don't know what I believe in.
Rich,
I feel like I believe in
you
a lot of
tried
shit.
to ask every single one of our guests the Matrix question, and then when you weren't on an episode, you told us to tell the guests that there was a Matrix question. So I think you think about the Matrix a little bit too much.
I like some days I'm like we're definitely in a simulation. Other days not so. Other days not so much. I think we're in a simulated reality though. Like you talk about the Truman Show. I think the last few years because of the access to information and just also how desperate the media has become and how they've become very sloppy. I think that it's become very obvious that there's a lot of the level of hypocrisy and how sloppy they've gotten. You're like, yeah, it's just clear that there's like paid for messages, and I think that we are kind of in a simulated reality. It's like you handpick certain types of data, you say things are really good, or vice versa, and you just know you're kind of. So I think we are in like that Truman Show type shit. Somebody give me a whole breakdown.
I'm just kidding. I don't want to talk about this.
I had a high school teacher who was like so about this, and he was trying to explain to us like the different dimensions that people could live. Like he would draw on the board and be like, we go this way, but this dimension goes this way. And I'm like, what? Like you're nuts.
What are you smoking, bro?
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? And now I'm like, he might have been onto something. I'm not sure.
He was a step ahead of everybody else.
We all thought he was crazy.
Well, do you ever watch the news and you're like, okay, like what? Like, dude, remember? Didn't I send you the podcast? It was a clip of a podcast where a guy who's an ex-Navy SEAL. He was like, "Do you ever think we're the bad guys?" And the guy who was like on there used to be also in the military, and he was like, "Dude, I ask myself this all the time." And so, like, when you watch the news, you see like Russia this, Russia that, U.S. is the good guy, and you're like, dude, they're saying the same shit. What's actually the truth? Of course, you're gonna think that you're the good guy or everything you're told is the truth. It's kind of like if you're raised. The only reason I'm Catholic is because I was raised Catholic. The guy's a Muslim because he was raised Muslim. I think America is the greatest force in the world. I mean, I do think that, but I'm sure a lot of what I've been told has been like, I mean, it's been partly propaganda, right? And like, it's the same thing as the Russians thinking that they're better. So it's like, again, it's just like simulated reality of what the media is telling you, which we know is like just an extension of, but like, that's what I'm saying. You never watch the news and you're like,
So I don't watch the news. I just don't feel like media is
question everything.
objective anymore. Yeah. I just like,
No, yeah, it's just, yeah.
don't want to be fed all that information. I don't know if it's true. It's just like too much.
I click the little thing
so
on my like
biased.
search bar. It's like top stories, and you click it, and it's always like Ukraine war, Trump Biden. It's always the same bullshit.
Rich clicks on all the clickbait most of the time, and then he'll send it in our.
No,
group
he doesn't. He doesn't actually
Get this
click on it.
drone
He reads the title, and then he assumes he just knows it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Amanda, now that we have talked about aliens that you didn't want to talk about, do you want to talk about politics too? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Big Trump supporter.
Did you want to?
Yeah.
Could you mention that real quick?
No, she doesn't want to.
No, she
Okay.
doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Pay
I was
attention,
okay with the
man.
aliens thing.
You can't.
I don't feel educated enough to talk about politics.
No one is. It just comes down to how what you're retarded.
Neither are they. Hey.
Yeah.
do you have a keyboard? Then you're educated enough to talk about politics. Come on now. All right. Is it time?
I think it
is
is.
it time? It's
The
time.
lightning round.
The lightning round.
We haven't done that in a while.
Round.
It's been a while since we had a guest. This is exciting.
All right,
All
first
right.
question. I got it. 3 things on your bucket list.
I recently shared my bucket list with Tyler. Let's see if I can remember off the top of my head. One is to kayak or skate on a clear lake.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
2 is to fly first class somewhere. And
Easy.
That's kind of attainable. Yeah, it's kind of
Make that one
attainable.
done.
Tyler, hint, make it happen. And then the last one is I want to design like a themed Airbnb. Which is random, but like those bachelorette houses that you go to, or like anything that has like a cool set theme, I wanna design a house around that.
A Star Wars themed Airbnb.
Yeah, like something like that I think would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Want to do the Blockbuster Airbnb out in Oregon?
Oh my god.
Oh, really? There's one like that?
Yeah, there's one out in Oregon. It's like they call it the last Blockbuster, but it's an Airbnb that's themed like Blockbuster.
That's sick,
Yeah,
dude.
I've heard of that.
That reminds me of the guy.
All right, next question.
Sorry. Yeah, we're lightning round.
Lightning
Round. Number 2, would you go to space?
No. I'm gonna
Ooh.
stay right here.
What if
Why
I
not?
Yeah.
It just scares me. Like I don't like the whole like unknown aspect of it, and it's just so vast. It freaks me out. Tyler, you can go. Like it would be like another like business trip for.
This is recorded, so I'm gonna play this back. If you ever say I can't go, it's not.
All right, my turn. No, it's Tyler's turn.
I guess my second turn. What is the best book you've ever read?
Well, I just started reading. Like I just started getting into reading. The last book I read was fantastic. I didn't think I'd be one for like thrillers or like mystery books, but it's called Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney.
What's it about? Rock, paper, scissors strategies?
It's about this couple who goes away for a weekend. It's like their last ditch effort to save their marriage, but then like all this weird stuff starts happening, and something happens to somebody in the book.
I'm not going to read it, but I guess. Well, don't ruin it for any of our two listeners.
A great twist, and I couldn't put it down. It like wasn't one for reading. It was.
What was the name of this book again?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, Caitlin just told me to read this one, so it's on my list.
Oh yeah, please do.
On my list.
You said thriller, and like nothing gives you more anxiety than playing rock, paper, scissors. Like that shit is, especially when it's like for a big thing, like a big decision. Shit, dude, that's always so scary.
It's a little misleading. It doesn't really have anything to do with the game of rock, paper.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you could time travel, where would you go? And in this situation, you can go backwards, but you could also go forwards. But where would you go?
Like a period of time?
Yeah, sure.
Forwards or backwards?
I would go. I wouldn't want to go forward.
I
think I would want to go backwards.
Yeah, me too.
And maybe just like tell myself to chill out a little bit more.
If you go forward though and you people watch, shit is in 10 years, shit's gonna be so entertaining. If we make it. I mean, there's gonna be weird shit, dude.
Yeah, but you're gonna be there in 10 years, so why would you travel there when you just have to wait?
I gotta survive 10 years, but yeah. Yeah, 10 years probably isn't enough. But
got it. Yeah.
That's right, in my billionaire bunker.
Yep, got it.
Seth, your turn?
We'll all be dead because we don't know how to do tourniquets. Got it. All right. If you could have dinner with a famous person, dead or alive, who would it be?
I've said this since I was like a little kid, but I've always wanted to have like dim sum with Jackie Chan.
Oh, that'd be
cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
That'd be
awesome.
But he would be like, he'd be like shame if he ever saw me eat dim sum. I barely eat the stuff at dim sum, and I can't use chopsticks. So I'm not sure if he would accept my invitation to dim sum, but that's who I would love to have a meal with.
I'm bad at chopsticks too.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but you're white.
Yeah, true.
I'm actually
no excuse.
What is a oh man, Seth? By the way, that question, I definitely made that question up.
No, you did not, but that's okay.
I asked Tyler what that meant. I'm like,
It was who would you have dinner with, and what would you tell them?
Oh, they
I
meant
think
the
was what
last,
that
the last
was. Yeah.
But you also made up your question.
Yeah, so just ask your question.
I also,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
the lightning
all
round,
the,
right?
all the
Right.
good
Come on.
ones. What is a song that when you hear it, it takes you to a specific place in time, and where is that specific place in time?
This one is so random, but Jules, Who Will Save Your Soul, always reminds me of like these road trips that my family and I would take in our like beat up Suburban when I was a kid. That song was always on. And I could like
Okay.
smell the leather from the Suburban. That one just brings me back to that moment or those moments every single time.
That's hilarious. I
Well,
have to wonder if I asked that question the same way because it just says song childhood bike thing.
That's
You-
why it was so confusing.
You've asked it different ways on different podcasts.
Yeah, sure.
There are also songs that just remind me of like places we've lived too, because I get like very like fixated on songs. I'm like,
Like the
oh,
Chris Stapleton album reminds me of
Yeah,
Virginia Beach, the
exactly
Starting Over
exactly.
album or whatever. it's
Is that the one where what is it, like Tennessee Whiskey? Is that
No,
that
no,
album?
it's the one after that.
Okay, that's the only one I know then. Okay. Okay. Well, that's the lightning round.
Round.
Do you have any parting wisdom or quotes that you would like to share?
Not really. Just this was awesome. I was actually really nervous to come on here. I'm like the least interesting person on earth, but also I don't care what anyone thinks about me anymore because I'm in my 30s. So here I am.
Full circle.
This was cool. This was really cool. And thank you guys so much for having me on.
Yeah,
You're
thanks
welcome.
for being here, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for
You're
coming
so
on.
welcome. I'll come to Hawaii anytime.